a produce market that you guys probably recognize, where people are eligible to come and get produce 5 days a week, once a day, every day. That's kind of where I started. So I started at the All People's Fresh Market on Parsons. I was working there in AmeriCorps when COVID happened. Um, and we had to immediately think, all right, we're already the largest free food distributor in Franklin County. So now, how are we going to do it during COVID? We created a drive-through unit, and all kinds of safety procedures as everybody else did. And then I went on to lead a city or Southside wide city trash pickup initiative through Columbus City Council. We were basically given $50,000 and told, you got to spend it in a month. And so I hired 71 people on the street, that
Wow.
lived on the street and that were a part of community development for all people, to pick up trash on the south side. And we were the only organization that spent the whole $50,000 in less than 5 weeks, employing 71 individuals. So they actually gave us another 50,000. And that's when I decided I wanted to keep doing this work, because I saw the value in it. My executive director at the time had quit. And I'd come over to the Hilliard Food Pantry, and her leadership was so valuable to me that I actually took a pay cut, enrolled into AmeriCorps again, and came over to the Hilliard Food Pantry. And now I've been here for 4 years, and now I'm the full time resource director. When we first started, we only had 3 staff. Now I think we're at like 11 or 12. So we've just really grown a lot since then. So,
Oh, that's
and I'm
fantastic.
excited to share with you some of that plus programming. You guys just let me know when you're ready. Or you
Yeah,
want me to
well,
jump
it's
in?
just turned 12, so I think we'll just wait a couple more minutes. I've got the recording rolling, because the introduction was people would like to hear it too. Here comes somebody else. Comes Maria. Okay, great. Maria Ramirez is joining us, and she's been very concerned about immigrant issues and also housing. Her husband works in housing, and I know she's going to be interested in that. She's running for city council here in Worthington.
Awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, cool.
So
Well, I'll go ahead and get started. And if you guys have any questions throughout this time, you could either throw it into the chat, but honestly, you can unmute and just interrupt me and say, "Hey, Adam, got a question about that," before you forget, because I know that sometimes I'll be like, "I'll save my questions till the end," and then I get to the end and I forget my question. So, yeah. So just interrupt me. I'm super casual, all that stuff. So.
sounds good. Oh, by the
Um,
way, Adam is one of our newer Indivisible members.
That's right.
And,
Yeah.
but
And I kind of tried to wait to join meetings until after this presentation, just because right now I'm sharing with you about the Hilliard Food Pantry, and that's what I'm about. And then next time I'll just be Adam, with a period at the end. Okay.
sounds great.
Um, but yeah, so like I was sharing, right now I'm the full time resource director for the Hilliard Food Pantry Plus. I'm with the Hilliard Food Pantry Plus for 4 years. This is me and my friend Landrin, in the food pantry. This is the current food pantry, and I'm excited to share with you just a little bit about our programming. We've actually been established for over 60 years. So the Hilliard Food Pantry has been around for a really long time. It actually, and people cringe at this one, started inside the Hilliard City Jail. So imagine nothing but farmland. There's the jail, and then inside the jail is the food pantry. And that's where it started. Um, and then we moved to the Hilliard Arts Council building, in downtown Hilliard. It's a very small, one room building. Who you see there is now Matt Adkins, who now works for the Alzheimer's Association. He was one of our very first staff persons. Before that, guys, this place was completely ran by volunteers, and they're still such an important part of our mission. Um, and really, what I want you guys to learn from this presentation is pretty simple. We know that it takes a village to help a village, and the good news is that you're in that village. So, with that being the case, how can I inspire you to join us in the mission against food insecurity, and beyond? And I'll outline a few ways today that you can get involved in the work that we're doing. but I'm really interested in matching people's desires. So it might not match. If you want to chat afterwards, I'd love to connect you with other organizations in which maybe your passions align more with. But I think what we got going on is pretty cool. Um, the next place that we landed after we were from the jail to the Arts Council building is the Hilliard Food Pantry. This is actually in 2020, and that's exactly when they brought on our very first executive director, Aaron West. And so the Hilliard Food Pantry was located inside of Life Community Church, and that's off Cemetery Road. We had a drive-through model during COVID, and then allowed people to come back in and shop. And the picture to your left is what the food pantry looked like. It is much bigger and more filled now than ever before. But then some sad stuff happened. We When we first got there, Aaron started adding to what we call the plus. Okay. So we used to just be called the Hilliard Food Pantry, and we decided that we wanted to provide additional services that could support families in addition to food. And that the Hilliard Food Pantry had always been more than a food pantry. It had always offered utility assistance. It had always done senior box delivery programs and Christmas help and this kind of stuff. But it wasn't really recognized in the name. And so we decided to add the name plus to the end there to really better encapsulate what we're trying to do. And then these are some of the programs that we've since established: the food pantry, the share closet, our utility assistance program has grown, senior box delivery program. We have classes at the food pantry. We have resource clinics. We offer care coordination. And then we have a special program that really generates revenue for our other programs called resident support. But then in 2023, we had a pretty devastating situation happen. The Hilliard Food Pantry caught on fire and it burned to the ground. Okay. And it was a freak accident. It was a mess. Okay. News stations were out there, and we're sitting there staring like, what are we going to do? And our volunteers were like, we're going to give out food. And I was like, heck yeah, that's what I'm talking about. We set up tents. We did distributions from the parking lot. And eventually we landed at Guide Church in Hilliard, where we did about 3 to 5 months, somewhere in there. We were at Guide Church doing food distribution. And then we actually returned home, is what I call it. We never brought the food pantry back to Life Community Church, although that's where I'm sitting in now. My office is in Life Community Church. And I say come home because actually the Hilliard United Methodist Church were a big part of forming the Hilliard Food Pantry inside the jail. It was two Hilliard United Methodist Church members that really were a part of the original formation of the Hilliard Food Pantry. And so when we were looking for a building that really made sense for us to operate in, that was big enough, finally we were able to get in contact with them, and they welcomed us in with open arms, and it was just amazing. At first it was kind of funny. We had a baseball team in the same room as the Hilliard Food Pantry. So imagine batting cages, and we literally have the food pantry going around the batting cages. Okay. We are also sharing a space with a coffee roasters, a taekwondo studio, and more. Since then, a lot of those folks have moved out. So we have most of the space to ourselves now. And I'll share a little bit more about the food pantry. So the food pantry is a choice food pantry. In order to be eligible to shop, you just need to live in one of our 7 service zip codes. And you have to have an income that's 200% of the federal poverty guideline. We do not require proof of income at the Hilliard Food Pantry. We'll ask them how many people are in their household, and then ask them if they make under that amount. And if they say yes, they're eligible to shop. Okay. So the only thing that they need to provide in order to be able to visit the food pantry is proof of residency and a photo ID. If they're not able to do that, they should let us know at check-in, and we can see if we can make an accommodation. But it is our goal to serve every zip code inside the Hilliard City School District. And unlike other food pantries, actually, we don't draw a line through the school district. So any zip code that falls even partially inside of the Hilliard City School District, we serve the whole thing. So you'll notice 43204 is on there. That's the Hilltop. Okay. Part of that falls inside the Hilliard City School District. We serve the whole thing. We're open 4 days a week. And at this time, we're seeing about 500 families come through our doors each week. Okay. Yep. And it's not, it wasn't until really our executive director started that we had a really good relationship with Mid Ohio Food Collective. So we have a lot of fresh produce available to families when they come to visit, because we believe that cooking makes the budget go better. And we believe that we should be filling our body with healthy foods. Folks in poverty oftentimes have a lot of access to unhealthy foods.
Thanks.
And
I don't
so
know what's the deal with that.
huh?
Let me try one more time here.
Oh, no worries. And we also have dairy, meat, and more. So, really a full shopping experience at the Hilliard Food Pantry in terms of food available. We also have hygiene products, pet food, diapers, wipes. And so families come through. If they need some extra diapers, they can swing on by and we'll be able to provide that for them. So, the limits on each item do change from week to week, but we believe that we're sending families home with a 3 to 5 day supply of food twice a month. So, and if people need another place to go, they're going to go and check out our resource clinics. I'll tell you a little bit about that. But first, I want to share with you our very new program. So remember that place I told you that burned all the way down? Super sad. But it's back up and running. And instead of bringing the food pantry back there, we actually opened up a free clothing store. So a lot of people refer to these as free stores. Instead, we named ours the Share Closet. And the reason is we don't have zip code restrictions, or we have zip code restrictions, but we do not have income restrictions. The purpose of this program really is to help eliminate waste. We all have tons of really great stuff in our closets that we never wear, and we can gift that to somebody else. And it doesn't have to be somebody that is low income. It can be anybody. Okay. Why are we spending so much money on things that there's an abundance of? And that's why we call it the Share Closet. We're here to share with one another. We're not concerned about income guidelines. Come on in, shop for clothes, and all you have to do is live in the area. If people want to visit the Share Closet, they can actually sign up for an appointment. Unlike the food pantry, that's just walk in. The Share Closet can be, you sign up for an appointment, you show up during your appointment time, and you just need to bring ID and proof of residency. If there's some kind of barrier to that, if you're working with people, whether they're exiting the prison system, or maybe that they've been without housing for quite some time, and so they don't have the proper identification, we want to work with you. So just give us, let us know what's going on. Right now, we're in partnership with a couple different agencies in which that are helping people kind of get resettled after incarceration, and they've been visiting the Share Closet, and it's been a real blessing to them. But I got this from the Share Closet, and so don't feel like you can't come and hang out with us too. We would love that. The next thing that we offer is utility assistance. So I mentioned earlier that we've always been more than a food pantry. The food pantry and the utility assistance program have been around for quite some time. We offer up to $200 in assistance to families with the presentation of a disconnection notice. And the only requirement is that they live in one of our 7 service zip codes and that they drop off a copy of the disconnection notice to the pantry during open service times. I think right now we do over $60,000 in utility assistance every single year. And it's really important because if we can keep the lights on, okay, then they can use that income that they do have to meet other critical needs. In addition to that, some people that are renting can be put out if they aren't getting their utilities paid on time. And so really the goal is to help people stabilize, to give them additional income in which they can use for their necessary expenses and then problem solve with them. Most of the time when people come to our utility assistance program, it's actually their first time ever visiting a food pantry, which is why we encourage them to visit the food pantry in person to drop off a copy of their disconnection notice, because we want to invite them to shop as long as they're eligible income-wise. And people are hesitant. People will lose their jobs, get their very first disconnection notice. They're calling 211. Next thing you know, they're calling the food pantry, but they don't want to shop. But when they come to the food pantry and they feel the love and feel welcomed, they're willing to do that. And in turn, they save themselves a grocery bill and are able to put their any funds that they do have towards more necessary expenses to assist them with stabilizing. So, in order to visit the food pantry, they just need to bring ID, piece of mail with them. In order to do utility assistance, it's just the disconnection notice and their driver's license, or a piece of mail that says the correct address. That's one of the zip codes inside of our zip code restriction. So another thing that we do is the senior box delivery program. Senior box delivery program delivers 2 senior boxes to 3 facilities and 1 senior box or once a month to a new facility called Avondale. These are specific communities that we partner with, so it's not like people can just call and get a senior box delivered. But we're really proud of this program. When it first started, it was a lot of just like a box with shelf-stable food, and that was it. Now we offer them fresh produce, and they can come to the community room and pick out what fresh produce they want. We have a table in which they can return items, so we eliminate waste and give that to seniors. And for some of them, this is one of the main meals that they get. And that's hard. That's hard to really swallow, but it's true. The other exciting thing is our new location that we're at Hilliard United Methodist Church is actually right next to Sturbridge Apartments. So those residents now are able to walk over to us or bus over to us pretty quickly. But yeah. Next thing that we do, we offer tons of classes. So when I first started at the Hilliard Food Pantry, we were like, okay, we've got utility assistance. We do some stuff during Christmas and Thanksgiving and all that stuff. But let's do classes. And we actually brought this over from Church for All People, where we worked. Aaron was the person that built the food pantry at For All People and established the entire healthy eating and living program there. And so really we were copying just some of the programmatic stuff over to the Hilliard Food Pantry. We have cooking classes every single month. Some of the funnest classes that I enjoyed during my time in this role, I started as the coordinator in this position, was the yoga class. We also had CODA come because they established a new bus line down Cemetery Road, but many residents didn't know how to use the bus. So we wanted to teach them, and we were able to give them free bus passes to practice. So these are just a few of the things that we do. And we're really open to many classes. We've done financial literacy, first-time homebuyer education, and I really like the yoga classes because, it's pretty chill and all that. So we got to love that. Next thing is resource clinics. So the person that runs this, her name's Leah Sprouse, and I'll show you a picture of her later. She also runs the utility assistance program. She's incredible. We have 3 part-time people that go to 4 locations in Franklin County to assist people with resource referrals. And then at the Hilliard Food Pantry, we do resource referrals. That's the intake location for a utility assistance program, and we offer life-saving Narcan education and distribution. The resource clinics, we trained our staff to use the 211 database, and then we also walk people through how they can complete an application through ODJFS for benefits like SNAP, Medicaid, child care, and cash assistance. And then if they need any assistance, we have a contact at ODJFS that we can connect them to get their applications processed in a more timely manner. The utility assistance submission process is just like we talked about earlier. People come in, we take a picture of their bill and their ID, we send it off to the person in charge, Aaliyah, and then she gets back to people within 24 to 48 hours. That does not happen at many other agencies. And so we provide the relief that people need. Narcan, that kind of just fell upon us, to be honest. Columbus Public Health and Franklin County Public Health, approached us about doing Narcan distribution, and we thought this would be the perfect location. And if people's lives are being saved because of it, that's awesome. So we love that. We also offer care coordination. So this is my primary job. I work with resident services and supervise all plus activities. So whether it's resource clinics, utility assistance, um, where it's, yeah, utility assistance, resource clinics, or the resident services care coordination, that's what I oversee. And this just means one-on-one assistance, helping residents problem solve, connecting them to different resources in hopes that they'll find stability. At times, this means, hey, Adam, I don't know where to get bus passes, and I'm telling them all the different places where I know they can go get bus passes for free. Or it might just be like, hey, I'm going through a divorce and I need legal advice. Where can I go for free legal advice? I don't know what to do. Um, and it's just a good starting point. Other people, it's a little bit more hands on. And I want to share a story with you guys about probably the biggest impact that I've witnessed care coordination have. And this has happened multiple times over, but it's an inspiring story. There was a gentleman who was living with his mother, who is a drug addict, and she kicked him out of the house. By this time, he's in his 40s. He had also struggled with addiction, but was able to get clean. And because he wouldn't give his parent any more money, she kicked him out. At that time, he had a job at a correctional facility as a corrections officer, and he continued living in his car with his girlfriend while he went to work every day. And he approached us about assisting with him with finding housing. Now, we told him, hey, we don't really do that, but we'll walk through the process with you. Why don't you meet with Adam? And it was at that moment that we realized his credit was so bad that he could not get a place. Because his mother had taken out the utility bill in his name throughout years and years in his childhood, and his credit was completely destroyed. His girlfriend was also living in the car with him at this time, and she had also gotten clean. And keep in mind, we worked with this person for almost a year while they're living in their vehicle. They never once lost their job. We were able to refer them to an agency that assists them with getting their credit improved. And then we used a special partnership that we have through the Columbus Foundation Gift of Kindness program to write a mini grant for first month's rent and the deposit. And he got in his house after a whole year working with him. He got back into housing, and he's doing great. He calls us regularly to talk about what's going on in his life. He's still working his job at the correctional facility and has gotten promoted multiple times, and he's in stable housing. So that's what care coordination is about. And care coordination, we run into these people through all of our different programs. Sometimes they get referred from a share closet visit, from a pantry visit, from utility assistance, or directly from resident services, working with one of the properties that we support. And this is where the hard work is. It's spending one-on-one time with people, really trying to help them stabilize. And then lastly, resident support. So right now we're in partnership with 2 affordable housing communities in Franklin County to provide supportive services. One is almost 300 units, one's a little over 100 units. And each month we provide a monthly newsletter sharing the classes in which we're offering, whether it's first-time homebuyer, financial literacy. We have events like Summerfest. Every month we have a produce party where we're giving away fresh produce and connecting people to their local food pantry, wherever that is. And then because we're in relationship with them, because we're hosting classes, doing produce parties, just doing fun events, our mission at these properties are really just to provide a loving and caring community where we're sharing resources and we're there to help them problem solve or find resources if and when they desire it. and that's not all the time. So we've worked with people to, find employment, avoid eviction, get connected to services for their children. Right now, we're getting ready to launch a summer lunch program at one of the properties, where we'll be offering free lunch to kiddos through Mid Ohio Food Collective 5 days a week for 8 weeks. And so we're really doing a lot there. That's probably where we do the most care coordination. We're working with residents one-on-one. It is not an income restricted site. There are some people that make higher incomes, some that make lower incomes. But the goal is over time for these two properties that they cap the income. So it doesn't go up as much as other properties, and it remains somewhat affordable. So this property that you see me at here in the picture doing the produce party is um, in Dublin. It's Copperleaf Apartments. And I think the rent's somewhere around like $1,200. So it's managed by a property management company. It was purchased by Columbus Metropolitan Housing Authority, and it's being leased to Columbus Housing Enterprise for 75 years. And just like the property management company, we are contracted to provide those supportive services. And this was all started because the people who began Columbus Housing Enterprise care about people, and they want people to be able to remain in their home and raise their family and live in places that are affordable. So, yeah. This is our leadership team. Erin is our executive director that I told you about. There's me. I'm in charge of all plus activities. Jessica Deem, she's in charge of the food pantry and the hundreds of volunteers that walk through the door. Brendan Martinez Nieves is in charge of the share closet. And Wendy McWhirther is our brand new, very first fundraising and community relations manager. And then these are some of the other worker bees, some part-time, some full-time behind the scenes. And there's Aaliyah, who I told you is responsible for running the utility assistance program and resource clinics. So
That's awesome. That's
So at the beginning of this presentation, we talked about multiple things, and I definitely want to answer any questions that you guys have about programming. But we said that it takes a village, to support a village, and you live in that village. So what's the best way that you can join to support? And the answer is, what do you want to do? What are you passionate about? Sometimes people will try to pitch you to give money when you don't really want to give money. Some people will pitch you to volunteer when it's not the best fit. So what are you passionate about? That's the real question. For every dollar donated to us, we can purchase about $4.56 worth of food from Mid Ohio Food Collective. So money is always worth more than doing like a food drive. Not that that's bad, okay? But that's the best way to help us ensure that the shelves can remain full. All right. Another way to help us is to volunteer at the share closet or the food pantry. And we have multiple opportunities, whether you're helping during service times, just helping people make their selection and greeting them at each shelf. Or maybe you want to become a super volunteer and you're like, Adam, I want to come in every Monday for 2 hours and help sort green beans. Girl, I got you. You can come right in, and we've got so many cans of canned vegetables that need to be date checked before we can put them on the shelves to ensure they're safe for our customers to consume. So just these are things to consider. Do you want to, do you think you could give financially? Do you think you want to give your time? The share closet, the brand new clothing store, is where the highest volunteer need is at this time. So when you go to this link, and all this will be sent to you via email after this meeting, you want to be sure to select share closet if you're wanting to check out that new clothing store. If you want to become a super volunteer, you'll want to email Jessica Deem. Super volunteer, once again, just means that you're committed to volunteering every week and on a regular basis in a specific role. I usually recommend that people do this after signing up on the Point app and kind of experiencing it for the first time, just to make sure it's a good fit for you and that you're not signing yourself up for something you don't want to do. And then teach a class. We talked about earlier that we have a wide range of classes, and we're really open to anything. You might be like, Adam, I am the budget master. We can do a budget workshop. You might say, hey, I'm really good at couponing. We can have a professional couponing class. We've done it before, and we'd love to do it again. So whatever your skill is, we want to hear what it is. And if you're passionate about sharing it, let's get you inside the doors. Okay. Another way that's cool to give financially that is maybe a good start if you're like, hey, Adam, I don't know if I want to just, start giving money to the Hilliard Food Pantry before I visit it, is the Roundup campaign. I do this, and it generates a good amount of money for the Hilliard Food Pantry, and you can set a cap for it. So you can sign up to have your spare change donated. All your expense, everything will be rounded up, and a certain amount will be given. That roundup amount will be given to the Hilliard Food Pantry up to a certain amount. So you can say, I don't want to give more than $20 to the Hilliard Food Pantry, but I'll sign up for the roundup campaign because then I don't have to think about it. You can do that. Yeah. And I think each month I end up giving about $40. And that might not seem like a lot, but we're talking about that's 200 pounds worth of food. Okay. So that's a good amount of food. That's probably enough food for 2 to 3 shops. Okay. For a family. The Point app, the way that it works to sign up to volunteer, you jump in to the app. You can download it. I just recommend getting on your computer and typing in Point app, creating a profile, and then searching for Hilliard Food Pantry. It's much easier not on the app. I have the app because I'm managing data on it, but for the average person, I would say just go to the URL. It's way easier that way. So yeah. And then if you guys have questions about any of this, you can always contact me, and I'll have all my contact information there. But I did want to share with you kind of a saying that my boss uses all the time, and it's called the why behind. The reason we do what we do matters, and we want people to know why it matters. We don't just serve food because we can. We don't just have a share closet because it was easy. We don't just have a utility assistance program because we want to help, just help people or whatever. We're doing this because we want to make a difference in the lives of others. We believe people are powerful, determined, they have goals, and we all have faced different crises in our lives. And we want to rally all the resources and programs around the food, around the clothing, so that way we can help people stabilize and hopefully thrive towards whatever goals they have in life. And those goals are different for everybody. Some people are like, I just want a stable house and enough food to fill my belly. And they're going to come to us for the rest of their lives because they're living off Social Security and they're 85 years old, and we love that we can be there to support them, throughout their entire life. That's wonderful. And we're blessed to do that. There's other people that are down on their luck. They've lost a job. They came into the food pantry, got food, stopped at the resource clinic. We're able to find some resources on getting job search assistance, found out about our utility assistance program, saved hundreds of dollars by visiting the food pantry and utilizing those programs, and were able to pay their bills for the short term until they regained employment. And it's just that those supportive services really help people remain in their places and not completely fall off, because we know that once people lose their housing, it's very hard to come back. The main demographic that we serve at the Hilliard Food Pantry is senior citizens. We also see a lot of new Americans visit the Hilliard Food Pantry. And single mothers are the other demographic that we see quite often. And this is just some contact information. I'm going to send this PowerPoint to you guys, and I'm more than willing to chat with anybody after hours, just to kind of help you get connected to whatever your purpose is when it comes to our mission. It's a fun picture of us. We just got a new floor, and so we're really stoked about that. And so to the left is my boss, the executive director. To the right is our pantry manager, Jessica Dean. Well, First of all, thank you guys for letting me chat with you. I want to leave some time for questions, but just know whatever you heard about this presentation that you're passionate about, I want to find a way to get you connected to. If you're not passionate about any of this, but you're trying to find something you're passionate about, I'd also love to chat with you to help get you connected to other social service agencies where you might be able to get your purpose, your fill. My boss always says it's always good, for you to have your own motivations, so it's not bad, for people to get their fill too. We all have a reason why we're doing this. I do this because it gives me purpose in life, and I get to do amazing work at an amazing place with amazing coworkers. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Adam. That was wonderful. I just wondered, there quite a few people came in a little bit later, so they
Yeah.
didn't get to hear the background story of how you got involved in this. Could you
Yeah.
just do a recap of that first?
Yeah. So I was working I was actually I quit my job because I didn't like it. And I started volunteering at the Worthington Resource Pantry. And I went there because my friend Krista was the manager there at the time. I had just graduated college and had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. And then after a while, my friend William Needleman, who now is the assistant director for AARP, he said, "Hey, Adam, you should try AmeriCorps." So I enrolled into AmeriCorps at Community Development for All People. And then COVID happened. So that was not fun. But a lot of good things did come out of it programmatically. We established a drive-through line at the All People's Fresh Market on Parsons Avenue, and we were serving 500 to 600 families each day with fresh produce. And we were able to establish that drive-through line. And then we were approached by Columbus City Council, Community Development for All People to use $50,000 to hire people to pick up trash on the south side of Columbus. But there wasn't anyone to do it. And so they went up to the brand new guy that's serving in AmeriCorps, and they're like, "Hey, Adam, can you do it?" And I was like, "I guess." Um, and so, but luckily, my current boss at the Hilliard Food Pantry, she had just quit her job at Community Development for All People, but she was still hanging around, and she actually helped me get the process set up and started. And we ended up hiring 71 people, most of them who lived on the street or were connected to other programming inside of Community Development for All People to pick up trash. We were the only organization that picked up, spent the whole $50,000. We picked up 2,077 bags of trash in less than 5 weeks. And then we were awarded another $50,000 to spend in another 5 weeks. And we actually picked up more trash with less people, 2,277 bags of trash. So really, that was a really amazing program. And after that, I said, I quit. Because my boss, she had also quit, Erin, and she was coming over here to become the first executive director of the Hilliard Food Pantry. And her leadership was really inspiring to me. And so I wanted to be under her leadership. I enrolled back into AmeriCorps, joined the Hilliard Food Pantry, and me and Erin were responsible for forming most of the Plus programming we shared with you today. The classes, I ran the Senior Box delivery program and expanded that. We've got now a big Christmas holiday help thing going on. But I would just encourage you to visit our website and take a look at some of the programming and see if anything resonates with you, that you want to get involved in. Yeah. I just think Indivisible is right, a really active organization. And I think that's really cool. And you guys are wanting to make a difference in the community, and you already are. There might be ways that we match even more after you get some time to reflect. So,
I expect there will be. Mike has his hand up.
hey, Mike.
Adam, awesome. My question, a couple of questions. First of all, your job sounds like it's 24/7. How do you do it?
Yeah. It's pretty busy. The cool thing is like we've got a lot of staff now. When we first started this plus stuff, we didn't have as much support, and the programming was taking off. So we're doing pretty well. The short answer is to get smart and how you use your volunteers, to have the right people doing the right things, and to ensure that we have proper supervision and support provided to everyone. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. That's excellent. The other part, when you got the 50,071 people,
Yeah.
I just interested in some specifics there.
Yeah.
How did you decide how you use that money? How did you pay, or did you pay by the hour? Did you pay by
Yeah.
the trash pickup?
Yeah, and just so you know, that's from when I was at Community Development for All People.
Yeah.
But what we did, actually, Columbus City Council wrote us and said, "Tell us how you would do it." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And we told them how we would do it. We told them that we would grab some staple people in the community, that could be team leads. That we would couple groups of 5. We had a map and we drew out the entire South Side and what teams would do what areas on what days, and we covered the entire South Side of Columbus. And so we pitched that to them, and they liked that idea and shared that idea with the other organizations. Yep. And then we partnered with Keep Columbus Beautiful. If you guys don't know about them, they are incredible. I don't know. I know there's a Keep Hilliard Beautiful. There's other, but Derek, who works down there, is absolutely amazing. You guys can go down there. You can rent out trash pickers and trash bags free of charge. And all they ask is that you report to them how much trash that you pick up each month or something like that. So like I've got a trash picker at home. I'm that old dude in the morning that goes around with his coffee cup and picks up trash in Clintonville. So yeah. But check them out if you haven't. They're neat. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We happen to have a couple of our members do that regularly, but I don't know if they knew about Columbus Beautiful, keeping Columbus Beautiful. So I'm going to pass that along to them.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Our Indivisible members. I have a question about community, whether the activities that you provide end up turning into friendships among the people that are getting services.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah, all the time. I mean, we see some people that they come in our doors and they never come back again because they just wanted one-time assistance. That's cool. There's other people that come to us for the long term, whether they're dealing with some sort of disability or living off SSDI or SSI, or just general social. Yeah. So, but I mean, yeah, we become friends with people. In fact, I mean, we have a lot of our pantry families that volunteer with us. So we believe that people can be on both sides of the table, and that's cool.
I also wanted to know, in light of the current situation with our administration, not only in the federal level but in the state level, people could stand to be losing Medicaid benefits, especially, as well as other benefits, and people are going to be strapped. What plans have you made to try to deal with that?
Yeah, it's hard to make plans for something that's not a reality yet. We've equipped our resource clinic staff to be aware that we need to be ready to refer people to multiple other food pantries. And there's quite a few really good ones near us, where people can go to get more food resources. And, we don't know exactly what's going to happen. We've already dealt with some changes in the portals as of late, and I'm not sure if that's because of some of what's going on or if that's just a general change that's happening. But we're going to navigate it because navigating it is what helps our people get the results that they need. So I try not to stress about things that aren't a reality yet. And so, I think you write your people, and you march the streets, and you see what happens, and you just keep grinding. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else have a question? I'll tell you what, Adam, is it possible for you to take the screen down so that we can see everybody and then they can raise their hands?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. Anybody have a question?
This is great. I can see so many more people.
This is awesome. It really helps. I would just, yeah, Jeannie.
Mine isn't a question, but I have got to tell you, I am so inspired by what I just heard. I am so inspired. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We will be checking it out, but you have totally inspired us. Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome.
I
Awesome.
second that.
And you guys are in Pickerington?
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
yeah.
Cool.
And this is Debbie Sutherland. She's got her hand up.
Hey, Debbie.
Oops, you're muted.
Oh, Debbie, I can't hear you. Your hand's up, but your mic is muted.
It
Wah,
is. So sorry.
There you go.
Before moving to Ohio, we lived in Germany for 4 years, and I volunteered for a similar program there. And I believe Germany had the law, and then France passed it while we were there that made it illegal to throw away usable food and produce, especially for the grocery stores. So they had wonderful systems in place in every little town where every once or twice a week, the vans would drive to the grocery stores, pile up the produce as well as other items. Bakery was a lot, and then just canned goods or things that they got in abundance that they didn't need. And I often wondered, why don't they do that here? If there's so much waste.
Yeah. There's some cool organizations that are doing amazing work, kind of similar to that. I would encourage people to look up the organization Food Rescue if you're not familiar with it. Emily, and I'm sure that there's like some, I don't know, they're way more official than they've ever been. Like before, like when we were on Parsons Avenue, she's rolling up in her personal vehicle and it's filled with food. But now they've got like a official van and all this, but they actually go to different businesses and organizations that are about to toss food, and they'll pick it up and then they'll deliver it to places that can use it. So that's pretty neat. Like they'll come from restaurants with really big bulk items that they're going to toss, whether it's, cheese, butter. Yeah, the list goes on. And just the other day, I think we got a donation from her of like 1,000 pounds. So yeah, they're amazing. Food Rescue.
But like Debbie said, though, extremely, extremely concerned about the coming cuts to Medicaid, which just seem likely regardless. And I'm old enough to remember back during the Reagan administration where the thought was, well, really, Medicaid is abused. It really should be organizations like yours and churches that meet these needs, not the government. And I agree, there's gaps and your government is necessary, but I also think it's really important to educate ourselves, the workers, the people that come and say it's important to be an informed resident and constituent and voter, because it's too easy for them to say, oh, that churches should fill that role when that's not really feasible for everybody.
Yeah. And, kind of the thing, it's a little tricky with benefits because we don't actually do benefits. We'll mostly refer people to the portal, assist them with uploading documents if they're struggling to do so. And then connect them to ODJFS or give them the list of in-person locations if they need to find that. But I mean, I agree. I think if people lose access to benefits, that would be difficult. And that means the burden will be passed on to food pantries. And so what's going to happen? And the answer is we're going to keep working because there's nothing else to do. So.
Sure. And not just lose access, but the government just decides they don't want to be in the business of funding it. That's sure. The alarming part. So thank you for what you do, though. It was a wonderful presentation.
I'm with you, Deb.
Anybody else have a question? Yes, Norma. Oh, you're muted.
We can't hear you, Norma.
Okay, I'm not really these things, obviously. But I volunteer with a group called Mid-Ohio Workers Association, which one of their benefits is some food distribution. And like I said, I've never been on these before, so I don't know what the thing is, but I'm just mentioning these. And I have some family members that work with a group called Food Not Bombs, where they feed people on Saturdays, different places in the city. And this group also has these free pick up free stores twice a week at parks where they're literally like a huge yard sale, but they also provide a meal for that day. I just mentioning that as some things that, I know about. And I know this group does get food from restaurants. So it's, hot food and stuff when they serve it.
Heck yeah.
Great.
And if you guys ever too are trying to connect people to additional food resources, I'll send it. Well, I'll just drop it in the chat here. But there's a website called Fresh Track. A lot of people are familiar with this, so if I'm repeating myself, I'm so sorry. But Fresh Track, it's spelled freshtrack.com, but without the C. And you can go there. People can type in their zip code, and it'll show them every Mid-Ohio Food Collective food pantry that they're eligible to visit by day of the week.
Wow.
So if they were to look at it today, it would show them every food pantry that's open on Thursdays inside of, that serves that service zip code. And all the requirements are the same. Proof of residency, proof of income. So yeah, pretty simple.
Very cool. Thank you very much. Any other questions we have? I'm looking to make sure I don't miss anybody. Okay. I thought Maria might want to give us a little update on what's going on with the housing situation, since I don't know whether there's a connection between this or not, but I know that you have some interest, or your husband does, in that. Can you sort of explain how that fits together that you've seen?
Housing in terms of, I'm not exactly sure what.
Well, Adam was talking about what Hilliard Food Pantry Plus does to help people navigate housing issues and whatnot. So I wondered if there was a plug-in between what your husband does with housing and what the Hilliard Food Pantry might do, or other pantries.
My husband works with permanent supportive housing, which is the housing that really is the first step for folks who are homeless. And it is a really successful model because it provides services with the housing to help people get really stable. And it doesn't create barriers to housing, which is something else that's really important. Sometimes when you're talking about housing, there are a lot of rules about you can't be a user, you can't do certain things. And although I think in our hearts, we hope that people are not going to do these things that are damaging to themselves, in order to get stable, the first step really often is you need a place to live. And then other things can happen down the line. And so the thing that's really unfortunate is that Project 2025 is targeting permanent supportive housing specifically. And so that entire model is at risk right now in terms of funding from the federal government. And that puts the most vulnerable people in seeking housing or currently in housing situations at risk. And so that's just a reality that the folks who work in permanent supportive housing are trying to navigate. And it is, it's just awful. Honestly, there's no sugarcoating it, because the folks who are most vulnerable are going to be the people who are going to be hit really, really hard. There's just a real dislike for any kind of housing first model, even though the research shows that those are the models that work to help the people who are most vulnerable.
Yeah.
So that's something that my husband is dealing with, the folks who work in permanent supportive housing are dealing with, and trying to be creative about identifying other funding sources. But the reality is that we may see the loss of this of many of the units that are available now. And that would be a tragedy. So that's something that I know is happening right now.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maria. It's sad news, but it's good for us to know, because especially when it comes to donating resources that we might have or time and talents. Um, you know, all of us have limitations, and there's so many good projects, but unless we know about them, we can't put them on the list for what deserves and needs our funding. So that's very helpful. Thank you.
Sure.
Barbara Taylor. She's going to get unmuted and then we'll ask her.
Unmuted, sorry, okay.
Here.
I couldn't find the button, sorry for a minute. Okay, so Maria, especially like regarding the housing issue, like I know I've read like in Salt Lake City or Utah or something, the Mormons have that program where they have supportive housing. And it, like you said, it has proven that, you know, once there's a supportive place to live, that people progress from there and get jobs or get off the drugs or whatever. So I'm just really supportive of what you're saying. I think also in Finland, they do the same thing. There are basically no homeless people in Finland or something like that. So I just want to mention those two places where I think that bears out what you're saying. So thank you. And I think it's very upsetting to me that these people in Project 2025 think they're Christians. Just had to say that. Sorry. Thank you.
No, it's true. This is the reality that we're dealing with, and we have to figure out some way to keep on keeping on, like Adam says. You know, what are you going to do except keep doing what you're doing? And but we also need to know what's going on so that we can allocate our resources and work together. Because that when Adam was talking about $1 of groceries equals almost $5, what they can do with it, it's the same kind of multiplication thing that we can do on a lot of levels. And I think what we've seen with Indivisible is that so together, when we collaborate, we can accomplish a great deal, probably more than we expected to. And I think that's true of all of these kinds of programs. So even if we're disheartened by what's happening on the political spectrum and how badly people are being treated, we do know that where we stand, and the fact that it's our mission to help in some way, and we just have to find out what that is. So this is a very great help to open our eyes to some of the needs that we could be supporting in a good way, because I think we always want to know that our resources are being spent in a way that we feel good about. So, anybody else have a question or a comment?
Thank you.
Some people said that they saw Erin testifying today. That is true. She was at the Senate.
Oh, she is. Oh, good. Okay.
She was there this morning testifying, for food insecurity and that kind of stuff. So
About the budget.
Mhm.
On the budget, yeah.
Yeah, we hired a lobbyist, the
Good.
previous year to get a line item in the state budget, and that was successful. And we're just trying to get that again. So
That's great. I think many of us have been calling and writing and testifying and whatnot on the budget items. I haven't seen, I'm keeping an eye on whether they're going to have any more hearings, but the Senate did just come out with their version of the House's bill. It unfortunately, it's a little bit better, but not much. It still does not totally fund public schools, for instance, and it still has in it the 600 million designated for the new Brown Stadium. It's possible that DeWine might veto that. He said that he does not want that, but they seem to be determined to fund the Haslams in that venture. So that's an issue. There are a whole bunch of issues, but I thank all of you who have been making calls and sending emails and testifying and writing testimony. It all matters, even if it doesn't seem like it matters right away. And I think that's what's been hard for a lot of us, because we feel like we've been doing all these, making all these calls and testifying and whatnot, and we're hitting brick walls and people who are simply not listening and don't care to listen. And that may be true, and it may be true for a while, but I do think that if we persist, that eventually these things do come out and people do begin to get it, and hopefully they will get it enough to vote people out that are essentially corrupt and don't care too much about their fellow citizens. Barbara's got her hand up again, unless that's still from before.
No, oh, sorry.
Okay, you're fine. You're fine. Anybody else have a question or a comment for Adam? And then I would like to try to go to Kara while she's still with us. Anybody else have anything? Adam, it was wonderful. This presentation was just amazing. And all the stuff that you're doing is just, it shows what a fairly small group of people can accomplish. And it's just phenomenal. I thank you for sharing it with us, and thanks for being an Indivisible member, because
Yeah.
we need all that encouragement and those experiences that kind of keep us moving on and realizing what we can do with that relatively little to make things really work.
Heck
So,
yeah. Well, I appreciate your time, and I'll be back as Adam, not Hilliard Food Pantry Adam, but just Adam.
right.
And you'll see me next week, and I'll help bring some of the spice to meeting too. So it's good to see you guys. All right.
Great. Now we only meet every 2 weeks, Adam.
Oh, every
So
2 weeks? It's not every week?
not every week. We did
Oh.
for a while, but everybody's so busy and doing things that we decided it was just better to consolidate a bit. We still get in touch, and when there's something urgent, I'll send it out. I do send out, though, the weekly Thursday Action Group list every week. It's huge, and
You guys include the demonstration, the weekly demonstrations. You remember,
yes,
Debbie, when I told you I rode my bike all the way to the library, and I
yes,
didn't go inside because I thought there was supposed to be a protest outside the library, and it was really
yes,
people were inside talking about the state budget. I
yes,
felt so
yes.
stupid.
I know.
I just need someone's got to educate me on what's going on. I was like, I didn't ride my bike 7 miles down here to not do something.
Well, you are on the list, aren't you? For the you get the Thursday Action Group list?
Yeah, I get those. Yeah.
Because that will have everything you need there, and it'll explain everything. The only trouble with it is it's huge, and it
Okay.
has a huge amount of information, which can be totally overwhelming, which I understand. Unfortunately, it's one of those things where I like to think of it as sort of like an encyclopedia. You go scrolling through and find what you want. I've got it, broken down the main email by categories, and there's a big list of events, and it'll tell you basically what's going on. But the thing to keep in mind is that there are also about 8 attachments, and those are just Word documents. And one of those is specifically for education issues. One is for immigrant issues. There's one called Community Conversations, with could be a range of all kinds of things. And anybody is welcome to send me input, something that's going on and you'd like it publicized, put it in the events, or if it's in a particular category, if it's a state house bill that you have input on. We've got a new member that is writing little summaries that help me add to the summaries I already have in the Ohio State House big, huge document. She works in the medical field, so she's reviewing some of those bills. And we have a list of new people who are going to be dedicated to advocacy work. And so that's going to give us a little bit more ability to make a difference, because we're all stretched. We're all doing a lot of things. And sometimes it feels like it's a little too much. But I think the big point is find the things, as Adam was talking about, that you're passionate about. Kind of forget the rest for a while. Do something that's in your wheelhouse that you really care about, and realize that there are other people doing some of the other things that you might not be equipped to do right now. And that's great. I mean, we all are going to take turns, and we're all important doing what we do. I know a lot of people have felt that, gee, I'm making all these calls to our federal representatives and also state representatives, and nobody's listening. But what we don't realize sometimes is that it can be a drip, drip, drip until it's a torrent. And finally, somebody who has to be elected still says, oh, I think I better pay attention because I'm afraid I'm going to lose the next election. So we don't know when that's going to hit. All we can do is keep drip, drip, dripping, keep making our voices heard, and hoping for the best. But I would say that on the state level, and I know Rachel Coyle, when she's visited us, has said this many times, you can make more of an impact, even when they're not listening to you, because you actually can reach staffers. And sometimes you might not be able to change prevent a bad bill from happening, but you may be able to push through a good one or make a bad bill less bad. So all of these things, they may seem little, but they mount up. And that's, I think, what we have to look at the long view. It takes a long time to get where we want to be, and we have maybe a vision of how we'd like the world to be. And all we can do is our little part in that direction. But Adam has shown us some of the ways that a small group of determined people can make a huge difference. And I think all of us are doing the same in our own ways. So I really appreciate all of you. Oh, it looks like, oh gosh, Kara has already left. Okay, so we will get in touch with her later, but I think, I'm not positive, but I think that she's at least talking about running against Jim Jordan. And so oh, there she is. Oh, Kara, you are still here. I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on with that?
So right now, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So right now we're going to be redistricted this summer. So I'm not deciding anything until those districts are set in stone. Because I do work full time as a school counselor. Right now I reside in Marion, which is super central to our district. So it's easy for me to kind of get to all the furthest points pretty easily. There are just so many variables in this redistricting process that could change my ability to really take that on. But regardless, even if I find that I'm maybe not the best positioned person to take it on, I want to help find someone who is and really do whatever I can to help support and be a surrogate for them in this area. So it's still up in the air. I am still trying to really take this summer now to connect with the Democratic parties and clubs that are in the current district and even outside, because if our district changes, we could become part of some newer areas. So anything that I can do to help connect with people and even help encourage other people to consider taking on a run. Because like I said, I may not be the best positioned person when it's all said and done, but I want to invest as much time and effort as possible to finding that person. If it turns out that it's not me. So whatever we can all do to pull together, if you have anyone that you think is interested, I'm happy to connect with them and help connect them to people sorry, my dog, we have landscapers here. Anyone help connect them with people that can help them even, get started on that process. So, I'm happy to help in any way. I just, we've got to mount a really good challenge. And the thing is I've actually been connecting with some organizations here, even with our Farm Bureau. They are a group that, generally supports Republicans and Jim Jordan. But the fact is he's never voted in favor of a farm bill ever. And so when I've asked some of the Farm Bureau leaders, why do people continue to vote for him in these rural communities? And they're like, well, there just hasn't been a good opponent. And it's kind of for them a little bit maybe a safer bet to go with the devil they know versus the one they don't. So if we can find someone that is able, and I am connecting with the Farm Bureau and some of these organizations that I know are willing to make a change if they find the right person. So, and that could be a huge, huge step towards defeating him.
What about recruiting a farmer?
So, I mean, that there have been some that have considered. I think that would be great. Generally in our district, the primary, if there's a primary, it has always been won by a female. And in our area, generally the farming community is, primarily male. I mean, I think that's just statistically the way it goes. But we do have a real progressive group of Democrats that show up for the primary. And it has been, just historically, if there is a female in the primary race, that is who has won it. I don't know. I don't know. I mean,
I was just thought, that
mhm.
it would be nice to
If
have.
there's someone, but the thing is a lot of farmers in this district are Republican.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult to, first of all, find someone in ag that is a Democrat, but then also to, I think, convince them to go public and take that step. The Ohio Fourth is a whole bunch of small communities that are just tied together. And so for a Democrat to step up, who is in an industry that is very heavily Republican, that takes a lot of courage.
Yeah.
And it's stressful. And one of the things that actually kind of brought me to considering this is the fact that farmers by occupation are somewhere between 3 and 5% have a higher risk of suicide than other occupations. And so when I saw that statistic, that's actually what made me start really digging into why is that, and what are we doing legislatively to help support farmers so that they are not at such risk. And that's what made me realize that Jim Jordan has never ever supported a farm bill, which is insane to think that he can continue to get reelected in such a heavily rural area when he does not support farmers.
Yeah, that's amazing. Karen Lee's got her hand up. Karen Lee joins us from Greece. She's very heavily involved in Dems Abroad, originally from Ohio, but she lives in Athens. Karen?
Yeah, well, I'm over here, but see, I also lived in Mansfield.
Oh, okay, great.
My son was born in Mansfield. It wasn't my daughter, no, my son. And so I guess what I'm wondering is like the 04 stretches from Lima over on the one side, clear across down around Marion and up, and catches Richland County or most.
It does. Yep.
Mansfield. God, I've got a brother who used to, well, is an ag major and sold fertilizer. He knows about stuff, but he's too old. He's too old to run. I'm just wondering though if he doesn't know some people. I got another brother who's probably a Trump supporter, but that's another.
Lee, anyone that you feel might have an interest. I am not by any means married to this idea, and I have no interest in co-opting this race. I want to find the best person that is, and again, it's going to a lot, I think, be dependent upon how those lines eventually fall. Because it might be like right now, I'm like an hour and a half away from our furthest spot. Whereas if we get redistricted, maybe I'm now on the furthest end and it's 3 hours to get to the furthest spot. So that would make it difficult for me to work full time and campaign. So that's why I want to find anyone who who may be interested, that could be in, possibly a better position if the lines change, that could still be in a good position to take it on.
How about,
Yeah, 'cause
Kara, and
I'm
I
looking-
will send you, Kara's, email, and then
Please do.
Okay,
you can be.
good. Yeah, because,
Yes.
Tammy Wilson ran two pretty
Right.
high energy campaigns for the 04.
She did.
And this last time she had the backing from Marcus Flowers Group, and there was some really good stuff coming through the emails, but it just didn't win. And as much as I've been a quote unquote women's rights, whatever, most of my long life, let's be realistic. We need to remove Jim Jordan, and that's the goal. So
100%.
let's be in touch. Great.
100%. Couldn't agree more.
Anybody else have a comment about that? I think, I guess I was going to ask a question. Maybe Kara, I don't know yet when the redistricting thing is going to be.
So it's my understanding that by law, it has to be completed by Labor Day.
Okay.
So that's kind of like the end date that I'm looking at, is hopefully we'll have a solid understanding by then. And I mean, I do see the lines changing. I think that, I don't know, and I have no insider intel on this, but I can see them trying to flip. So I can see them trying to flip Captor. I think she was barely squeaked out her last win. So I would imagine they'll try to take some areas and carve them into her district, some redder areas, but yeah, so it'll be, I don't know, it'll be interesting. They'll
Mike
try
has-
to redden it up as much as possible.
Great, thank you. Mike has something.
Hey, Kara, excellent ideas and very strategic thinking in my mind. Yeah, I was going to ask about Tammy too, that.
She's not running again.
No, and in your concern, what you're stating, we belong to a number of groups here, one in Perry County and one in Licking County, that are really kind of startup groups as of recently, very recently. And
Okay.
they are very concerned, exactly what you're saying about the rural vote. How do you get through to the rural vote, the rural thinking? And, I listened to a guy over in Licking County at one of our meetings recently who presented a study about, and it resonated because for the last 4 election cycles, I've gone door to door, and I've had many people come to the door and say, no, I always vote this way.
Right.
I always vote this way. And, not look, and the study that the guy presented was, and I won't go into too much detail, maybe you've heard it, but it was, facts don't matter to people. It's political bias. There's a baked in political bias to some people. And you can give them all the facts in the world, and it's political bias and that's kind of distressing, because
It is.
I mean, really, many of us say, well, that fact is really going to make a difference now. And we wait. And but your concern is not, I mean, the other areas that we're meeting in are rural areas. And the people that are meeting are saying, how do we bridge that? Because see, I'm an urban guy, basically, Akron, Eastern Ohio, and then suburban, a little bit of time in Northwestern Ohio and Clyde.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, way back.
I went to Heidelberg. I'm familiar with that area up there.
So, but, so there are these, the kind of like cultures and subcultures in Ohio.
For sure.
And how can we make a connection for the common good, for the concern about a democracy, that, but thank you for what you're doing. And, if we can help you.
Yeah, thank you. I have been this because I'm just now out of school for the school year. This is the first Zoom I've been able to participate in live. So, one of the things, just this is just my opinion, but I think one of the things that has happened is, I think the national and state party have kind of neglected the rural areas and written them off. And I think that just left the door wide open. There was a void of leadership, and that left the door wide open. I mean, MAGA didn't even need to kick down the door. They were let right in. And so I think that likely there are going to be some things that people in the rural community start to feel. I think they're going to start to feel the strain on public schools with all the stuff that's hurting public schools. Rural communities are going to be the first ones to feel the pain. The loss of Medicaid, rural hospitals, agencies, nonprofit agencies that support rural communities. I'm on our Adam H board for Marion and Crawford counties, and I know we're trying to be strategic in how we think ahead and plan for that. So one of the things I would encourage people, if you are interested in kind of learning more about rural Ohio and some of the issues that rural Democrats are discussing, I would encourage you to go to the Ohio Rural Democrats Caucus and sign up. And they do a quarterly Zoom. And that's an amazing way. I mean, they are like just the most amazing people. So that's a really great way to get plugged into some of our rural communities and listen to what they are talking about as far as Democrats and some of the things that they're doing. And I think a lot of people would be surprised to find Craig Schwartz. Yeah, I just see that. So he is still, but he's not running again for chair. So there will be an election for a new chair. And Craig, like I said, is not running. So, but anyway, I would encourage everyone to go to the Ohio Rural Dems website and sign up for their emails and participate in their quarterly meetings because they are amazing.
Cool. Do you have any connection at all with Blue Ohio?
I just started learning a little bit more about them.
Because it is possible, that's where
I saw Rachel posted something about them. I saw David Pepper had done something. Yeah.
Yeah, well, David came to one of our Zoom meetings a couple
Oh,
years,
good.
and several of us belong now to that group.
Okay.
What's really nice is that then they give a certain amount of money to candidates that would otherwise be written off by the party.
Mhm.
And I think that's where they can help in those rural areas.
Yeah.
Not a huge amount maybe, but enough to get somebody started and
Yeah.
maybe not so discouraged from running.
Mhm. Mhm.
Thank you so much, Kara. I really appreciate it. We're gonna
Thank you.
maybe not do the 19th for now. Just
Mhm.
have you come when you can.
Yeah.
And we'll just keep each other posted and see how things are going, and
Yep.
maybe some other people have input by the next time we meet.
Yeah.
To see how things are going, because I know there are a number of people on this call who unfortunately are in Jim Jordan's district and would love to get somebody else. And even if you're
Yeah.
not in his district, I'm sure there's nobody that would like to have him stay in office.
Yes. Feel free to put my email out, and if anyone has any thoughts about has anyone that might be interested, I'm happy to connect with them.
Okay.
And just kind of we'll see whatever we can do to get a strong candidate to go against him.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Kara.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
It's great to have a community of like this. It really
I
is.
love it. I love it.
I was just going to say one thing, and just about a piece of legislation it went into the newsletter. I sent it to Mia to put in the newsletter yesterday, but it's SB 63, the ranked choice voting is up again, and it's going to have a hearing next week. It's not an opponent hearing, but it's a good idea to make calls about that. The other one to really watch is SB 153. That is Ohio's version of the SAVE Act. It's really, really draconian, really horrible. Unfortunately, it has a better chance of passing in Ohio than on the federal level because the sponsor is Teresa Gavarone, and she's pretty good at passing bills. Unfortunately, it's a really, really awful anti-democracy bill. So those two, if you could keep in mind, if you don't call on anything else on the state level, those are the ones to be calling about this week. And I will be putting some other things that are coming up in, for the next your next huge list that we're putting together. I apologize for my voice. I finally got antibiotics after a month, and I'm very much over this. So, thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. Okay, for the good of the order, anybody else have anything? If not, we will close, and I will turn off the
Debbie,
recording. Yes, go ahead.
sorry, real quick.
Yes.
I just was curious if anybody has gone to any of the hearings on the finance for the budget, because I wasn't able to. I was wondering what the feedback from anyone who went to any of the hearings in the different committees for the finance committee and all that.
Yeah,
So,
I have not. I know that.
Mike, have you?
Did you go to any, Mike?
No. Oh, okay. Because I thought you had.
Andrea, you go to testified.
Okay.
But I'm not sure if it was the budget here. I think it was for 153, SB 153.
Okay. Okay. Just curious. Thanks.
I sent a lot of testimony in. I've sent about 4 pieces in over the last week. But interestingly, for the budget items, they didn't specify. You could send it in any budget item, and it's kind of random. So
yeah,
you picked a day, and I got a notice that it said, your piece has been, accepted. And I get 3 more notices like that, but I had no idea for what day, or it's not posted anywhere.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
So
that's weird.
I don't know if they just didn't pay attention to it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because they always post the testimony, under that section in the in the bill.
They
Wow.
do for the bills, but I think the budget is a different.
Oh, I see. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Barbara's got her hand up. Thank you, Patty.
Just quick notification about something. I was at the Asian Festival. I think that was last weekend, and I saw a booth. And they were talking about a bill in the Ohio House or the Ohio, I don't know, Senate House, I don't know. But I don't remember the number or anything, but apparently it will make it impossible for immigrants at some level. Now, at a certain point, they might be able to, but basically immigrants to buy houses.
Yeah, that's SB 88. And it's also going to oppose. They've had, fortunately, a lot of opposition testimony. And what I understand is that I think it was Cindy Abrams, maybe one of our reps, she was so impressed by some of the testimony of somebody who was originally from China, that she said, we do have to amend this bill. So I don't know what's happened to the bill right now, but keeping track of it. So it's going to be, you'll see the latest. If you look, when you get your list this week, look at the Ohio State House document and just go look for SB 88. And I don't know if it's going to have a hearing this week, but if it does, it'll be there. I have a section in that document. Just if you don't really look at it very often, it's got a huge amount of bills, and I try to keep track of all of them. Some of them have call scripts, some of them don't, but they all have who to call on each of them. And there's a section that says committee meetings. And so you'll know what committee meetings are coming up the following week. And then I've got it keyed so that it'll have the committee meeting bolded, the bill bolded, that you can jump down then and to see what that bill is going to be, and who to call.
How do I get that email? I don't think I get that email.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll tell you what. if you could send me your email address. How did you get did you just go on the Facebook page to get into this?
I guess so. Was this on an event on, yeah, I think it was an event on
Yes,
Indivisible.
okay. So all I need is your email address, and then I can put you on our Thursday Action Group list officially. Then
Great, thank you.
you will get that big, huge document. Usually, I try to get it out Friday night if I can, but a lot of the hearings and whatnot are not scheduled until Friday afternoon. So I have to, hurry up and get it done and then send it to Mia for her approval. And sometimes it doesn't go out till Saturday morning. Try to get it out before some of those rallies that are going on Saturdays. So it's kind of a short window. But if I have your email address, then I can, if you could just put it in the chat, and then Mike is going to save the chat for me, aren't you, Mike? And then I can
Thank you.
collect
Okay,
it.
I just put it in the chat. B Taylor
Perfect. That's
178.
really awesome.
Okay,
If anybody
thank
else
you.
has joined this Zoom meeting that you're not already on the Thursday Action Group list and you want to be, go ahead and put your email and your name in the chat also, and I'll put you on the list. It's kind of a down and dirty thing that we just do by email. So, Patty, you have something else?
Yeah, yeah,
Can I just
yeah.
say-
One more question. Wasn't able to go to the Monday vouchers for Ohio thing, but then when she put in the email that there were some important movements in the lawsuit, do you know, Debbie, what they were? I could text her or write her.
I'm trying to remember. There are several new schools.
Okay.
For those of you who aren't familiar, Vouchers Hurt Ohio is a lawsuit that is being brought against the whole voucher program, which is clearly unconstitutional. It's very clear in the Ohio Constitution that public funds are only supposed to go to public schools. But of course, the voucher program has been expanded, and they don't care that it's unconstitutional. They're just doing it anyway. So the suit is scheduled to be brought sometime this year. We've had a little trouble getting enough public schools to sign on to it, which sounds crazy, but it costs a little bit of money. It's not terribly expensive, but school districts have to buy in and have to help pay for the legal defense. So, or I should say, they're really the aggressor here. They're trying to say you need to stop this program. So, the last meeting that we had, several new school districts have joined on, and what's happening is that there ends up being kind of a if you get one school district from one area, then there's kind of okay, and the next school district over might join. So now we started, I think, at the beginning of this year with maybe 250 out of 600 school systems signing on, and now we're over 300. So we're
Wow.
getting there. And I
That's
think
great.
as this voucher thing hits, with people with a new budget and school districts are finally waking up that they're going to lose funding, then I think we're going to get a whole slew of them very quickly. In some other states, the judges have declared this voucher program unconstitutional. The problem that we have, I think, right now in Ohio is that we have a Supreme Court that, much like the federal Supreme Court, is heavily Republican and might somehow make a way to nullify what the Constitution says about the vouchers being constitutional. So that's a front we're working on. In the list that you get every week, there is a document that is devoted to public education, and I've tried to consolidate all of the bills that are education related and put them in that document. So if that's your thrust really into education, then you go to that document, and I try to keep it updated, and we'll let you know what bills are going on in that area. Same with the immigration situation. We've got a document on immigrants and how we can protect them. Like I said, it's a wealth of information, but you just find what really speaks to you and ignore the rest. So, No Kings Act is coming up on the 14th. There's been some confusion. It was because of pride that some people were concerned that it would eclipse Pride celebration in Columbus, which is also the 14th. But what we're doing is that Indivisible is actually having a float at Pride. You have to register to make sure if you want to go to Columbus Pride and go No Kings at Columbus Pride. They're joining, but you have to make sure you're registered. Otherwise, they're not going to want you to march because they're kind of going to be restricted a little bit and how many people can go. And so you don't just want to show up there. But they're looking for a lot of people, marchers as well as people on the sidelines cheering them on. And also people are collecting signatures for SB1. We're trying to repeal Senate Bill 1, which is that horrible DEI thing that's affecting all the universities in Ohio. We're trying to repeal it. It's going to be a difficult deadline to meet because we've only got till the end of the month, end of June, to do it, and we're kind of behind. So a couple of our members that normally join us, Karen Adams and Ann Isaacs, are hot on the trail of gathering signatures today, and so I excused them from having to come. So you know what you're doing is really important. So if you are interested in signing and haven't yet, go ahead and email me. I will try to hook you up with somebody that has petitions in your area so that you can sign the petition. There's another petition that's going on, a signature collecting that Indivisible is involved with. Indivisible is not directly involved with SB1 because there's too much on our plates, but we are definitely supporting that movement and a number of our members are working on it. The other one is this Columbus Safety Collective, I think it's called. And that is strictly for Columbus residents, but it's also a very important mission to try to provide resources aside from just policing folks to provide necessary resources that can de-escalate situations. So that's another important thing that people will be collecting signatures for at Pride. And there are a whole bunch of other Pride events as well as No Kings events coming up. So when you get your next list, I copied a bunch of stuff from the newsletter that Mia just sent out yesterday. And if you didn't see it there, you will get it in what I send out. And you'll have all that stuff to plow through and see what jumps out at you or what you can do. Tesla's still going strong. We have a new site for the Tuesday rallies. One was for VA. The other one is new in Worthington at the intersection of 161 and High Street. It's a very convenient place and it's got some shade. This past Tuesday we had, I'm going to say 50 to 60 maybe. Previous week 40. So it's growing. So you're welcome to join us any of these events. There are so many. So there's plenty to choose from, and we'd be delighted to have you join at any time at any one. So anybody else for the good of the order before we close down? Thank you. Yes, go ahead, Kara.
I've got one other bill that I just wanted to point out. It
Yes.
sounds really, really benign,
Yep.
but it's not. And that is House Bill 262 that is being sponsored by Beth Lear and Josh Williams, if that tells you anything. It's about designating the month between Mother's Day and Father's Day as Natural Families Month.
Yes.
So that sounds very benign, but it is actually directly in line with Project 2025 in terms of redefining what a family is. And that ultimately they want that redefinition to be able to eliminate the opportunities for adoption, IVF to same-sex couples. Project 2025 goes as far as alluding to using same-sex couples as grounds of abuse in order to even remove children from families moving forward. So this is just a seemingly seemingly insignificant bill that is actually very significant And so they just did the first hearing on it the other day. And so I'm not sure when the next opposition, like the next opportunity for actual opposition testimony will be, but that's one to
I'll have
keep an
it
eye
there.
on.
It's one of the ones I'm watching.
Okay.
And so if an opposition testimony comes in, it will be there. And
Perfect.
whenever
It's just a really dangerous one.
it is. And Kara, if you wouldn't mind, I would like to fill out a little bit more about what that bill might do. If you could provide me just a couple of sentences that just basically says what you said, I would add it to the.
So I have a Substack that I wrote, I published the email that I sent to the committee.
Great.
So if you want to go to that and include that for people,
Great. Well,
because it goes.
What I was hoping to do is take an excerpt from that and add it to the list that I have so that people then know who to call, but they have kind of a short script that they could use when calling. If you could come up with a short script, that would be awesome.
Okay.
Just email it to me.
Perfect.
I don't, it may be that opponent testimony is coming up this week, but I probably won't know until later today. So
they just did the first hearing, I know this week. So
exactly. Thank you so much. I think Mark Stansbury, did you have a comment? I didn't want to miss you if you did. Okay, I think he was just doing heads up. Okay.
Debbie, could I ask a question of Kara for this bill? I missed I know Debbie will have it in her email, but what is the House bill number, Kara?
It's
262.
262. And it is going to designate like a month as family.
It designates the month between Mother's Day and Father's Day as quote natural families month. And if you listen to the testimony, you can go back to the archives on the Ohio channel and listen to the testimony it's under the Community Revitalization Committee. Okay. So if you go back to the archives and listen to that hearing, Lear and Williams, I mean, it is very clear they want this to be they say it is to increase the declining birth rate. So they want to designate this as one man, one woman, married with children, which is exactly what Project 2025 aims to redefine a family as. And so it is very dangerous. It is an active step towards fulfilling that mission of Project 2025. Please go back if anyone has an opportunity to the Ohio channel and listen to their testimony. It's appalling. And we just need to get loud about that one because again, like I said, on the surface, it sounds innocent and it is not.
It's not.
And there's a related one too. That's the sequence thing that basically is advising people. Go to high school, get married, have kids.
And that's as a mother of a gay daughter who's married, this really is frustrating to that. I mean, I knew there was this slant in 2025, but to have it trickle down now to, which I assume the state would do too, but to actually do that and be able to substantiate that these people are important and then therefore this is the ideal family, that's just disgusting. That's back in the 1950s. So as a mother of, a very happy married daughter who's gay and has a family, this just angers me. I can't even understand how these people think there's no room for different families in this. It's just so frustrating. But thank you for bringing it up because I definitely will read that testimony.
The Democrats
thank you.
I think they have proposed a bill that goes against this one, that it talks about inclusive families. I can't remember which one.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for bringing it up.
Is to say, we really don't like this bill, but to support the Dems with the bill that they've got. And I'll have to look it up. I can't remember what the is, but
thanks.
They're trying to counter some of the stuff that the Republicans are doing with that.
Yeah, thanks.
We're getting there.
And can I just add on to that? I didn't know that Beth Lear and her husband were on January 6th at the Capitol.
Ooh, what?
They were.
Whoa.
I found that out online recently.
What?
So we
Oh my
can,
goodness.
so we can deport peaceful protesters that,
Right.
but you can be at the Capitol having an insurrection
Gosh.
and you can be elected to our office. So that says a lot
Wow.
right there.
Yeah.
Did she approach the, I mean, did she walk in near the?
I just saw, I
Um,
saw it online. Somebody
Wow.
else
Oh.
mentioned, so I don't know any of the
Mhm.
details, but I'm like,
Wow.
isn't that interesting? This
Yes.
is who we elect.
Law-abiding person. Mhm.
And did anyone catch the interview on NPR where President Trump pardoned the sheriff who blatantly gave $75,000 bribes
Mhm.
to sell the thing? And they were interviewing all Trump supporters. And they said, and they're like, well, this is wrong. And pardoning those January 6th
Oh gosh.
writers,
Yeah.
that was wrong. Some of them needed to be in jail. And the interviewer said, so do you regret your vote? Well, no, because, and I wanted to like scream at the radio and choke them. Like, well, no, I can't vote for that.
Yeah. We need to have the price of eggs lowered. So, that's why we'll vote for him. And then he gets in and everything's going up. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was part of the conversation earlier about it just really doesn't matter. And
Yeah.
sorry, it's Clara, I'm really bad with names, was saying about how women do better in the rural.
Yeah.
My comment was it sure didn't help Kamala Harris. And,
Yeah.
there's just no excuse. There's no logical explanation. So I didn't know if I agreed with that sentiment, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Sadly. Yeah.
We've got a lot of work to do, but
Thank you, Debbie. And I'm glad your voice is
every
getting
day.
better.
I'll
do.
hold on until Mike collects the chat, and then I'll turn off the recording now. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining.
Thanks, Debbie.
See you soon. Okay, take care.
Bye.
Okay, and I'm going to stop recording.